hoping that on this list there would be the what were they called? The power team. You guys remember the
team? And they came and they ripped the phone book in half. And then they weren't allowed to literally evangelize, but they'd be like, there's someone you can talk to about your problems. Wink. Jesus. And meanwhile, they're doing feats of strength in the name of the Lord. It was so nuts.
I was like 15% bad, in high school. I was bad curious.
I would lower that down to 7.
Yeah. But wait till you hear this. Sometimes I would skip an assembly and I skipped the power team assembly. I didn't know what it was, but I skipped
you
it.
Fucked up.
Wrong one to skip.
I came back to school and everything had changed. Everyone was different.
Hello, and welcome to Text Me Back podcast. It's not the only podcast. Once again, I'm being confronted with the reality that there are other podcasts. And
what in particular?
There's just the one other one. No, we've decided there are 3 total podcasts.
Yep.
This one, Francesca Ramsey's podcast, and the one we're about to talk about today. And I'm so excited. By the way, I'm Megan. You know that. With me, as always, is Lindy.
I'm Lindy.
Ever heard of her? Anyway, normally, as you all know, we would spend 37 minutes introducing the show. We don't have time for that because for the 3rd week in a row, we are confronted with illustrious guests. And I'm so excited to invite them onto our show. It is Ella Hushagen and Isolde Raftery, the hosts, co-hosts, producers, I don't know what you want to say, of this new podcast that's coming out, or it's out, called Adults in the Room, produced by KUOW. Ella and Isolde, hello. Welcome to Text Me Back podcast. I think Isolde just took a bite of a hard-boiled egg. I'm not sure.
I'm been peeling it very quietly during your guys' intro. I was like, Lindy said something about food and I was like, I'm hungry.
I do want a little snacky.
I recalled that I had an orphan hard-boiled egg in my kitchen. So I wanted
Incredible.
to get it.
I'm gonna let you have a salt shaker or just
you can go get some salt.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're a seasoning positive podcast.
Yeah. We're going to let you guys introduce yourselves. And also, I neglected to mention how we all know each other. So feel free to mention that as well.
Yeah. Tell us your illustrious bios and reveal the secret lore of how we know each other. Because you're not just a couple of yahoos with a podcast that we're allowing to come promote here in our sacred space.
It's true.
Ella, do you want to go first while Isolde chews her egg?
That seems smart. Megan, you nailed the pronunciation of our names, which is how I know that you do know us from long ago. I'm Ella Hushagen. I am an attorney in Los Angeles. I'm a public interest attorney. I mostly sue big companies and institutions. And I went to high school with you guys and college with Lindy. And then we lived in various ramshackle homes in Los Angeles together before she was like, fuck this place.
I kind of forgot about the college part and the ramshackle homes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
We battled many mice and black widow spiders and water damage, floods, and strange landlords together.
Nice.
Yeah,
Didn't you guys have a roof completely collapse?
Yes.
In one of them?
Yeah, the ceiling of Ella's room became soaked with water and fell down. Don't you remember? Do you not remember that?
Nope. Yeah, in Silver Lake.
Yeah, in Steve's house, in
Esteban's
house.
It was probably toilet water, right? Is what we thought.
It was toilet water from the people upstairs. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh man, Isolde is the host of the podcast. I'm here just along on the ride.
Well, first, Isolde, who are you?
Yeah.
Well, I guess my official title is managing editor at KOW Public Radio. It's the NPR station in Seattle. I manage reporters and editors. And then I made this podcast.
Yes. And we also went to high school with you, too, because you two guys are best friends. Yes. You guys are like the Lindy and Meagan of Ella and Isolde. You know what I mean? So it's a lot to think about. I'm really excited to have you guys here. One, because I love you so much. Just as a reminder, Text Me Back podcast is not an unbiased journalism podcast. Mm-hmm. We're very biased in favor of Ella and Isolde, and we're super excited to have you because we've been gassing up your podcast for like 2 or 3 weeks now. Isolde sent us the first 3 episodes and we were able to listen to them in advance. And I think Lindy and I both were, just really blown away. It's so well done. It's called Adults in the Room. It's about our senior year of high school. I'd love for you to talk more about it and like how it came to be, because just on its face, like, oh, hearing about y'all's senior year of high school, what do I care? But you should, because it's interesting. So like the cliff notes of what happened here was like our senior year of high school. At this point, we've gone through 3 principals in 4 years. The third one, Dr. Al Jones, gets suspended and ultimately, I don't know if he got fired or let go or he just left or retired or something, for having an inappropriate relationship with the student. And obviously there was a lot of rumors, but nobody really knew exactly what happened. Everybody obviously knew who the girl was because it was high school. Everyone was talking about it. And then like a few months later, a different teacher, a beloved science teacher named Mr. Hudson, Tom Hudson, was similarly suspended for an inappropriate relationship with the student. And still, nobody really knew what that meant. And then I don't know how much longer after that happened, Mr. Hudson ended up taking his own life, right? So that's kind of like the starting point of this podcast, right?
And I think Ella and Isolde reported this in the student newspaper. So you were kind of the catalyst for this information coming out, and then people were really mean to you.
You say in the first episode, like you never stop talking about it. You're constantly processing this thing that happened. And then I think the reason that this podcast came about is like Ella started to really think, well, maybe we are the baddies or something, or I don't know. Like you really had this urge to like report it out and actually find out what happened.
I remember that during the pandemic, I got together with my family, and my sister-in-law had never heard the story of what happened during our senior year of high school. And I recounted the whole thing to her, and she was like, gosh, what have you done to heal from this traumatic year? And I was like, nothing at all. Actually, I did nothing. I just had continued marching forward. And it just had me thinking about it a lot more. And then I think Isolde and I never really stopped talking about our senior year of high school. It was sort of this it was sort of this experience we'd had together that it felt like no one could ever really understand, even if you explained it to them. There's so many different pieces and so many characters. And so we would always talk about it and sort of how outrageous it was that the story was written the way that it was. And that we never really got to know anything.
Ella called me in the pandemic and was like, we should do a podcast. And I was like, bad idea. Like, I'm busy. It was the pandemic. So I was very busy with coronavirus. Like our senior year was not like top of mind.
Jinx.
However, I also saw this as an opportunity to spend more time with Ella. So I was like, sure.
That's why we make our podcast.
I mean, it's a really good reason to make a podcast, to spend time with your friends. So Ella, this is the first time I'm admitting this to you, but I was like, it'll fizzle out. She'll get tired of this. We'll keep doing it. We did a few interviews. We interviewed you, Meagan.
You
remember?
did, yeah. I don't think you'll use any of it, but yes, you did interview me.
But it was helpful. Actually, Meagan, I would say the entire premise of the podcast is based on a single thing you said, which was the kind of the cult of Garfield was this notion that you had to be besties with your teachers for you to have a good education. And you explain this kind of like cult, what I call in the podcast, the gospel of Garfield. Like most people are like, they go to high school, they've got a teacher. Like I look at my kid in middle school. It's like, yeah, he likes his teachers. He doesn't need to be like spending the night at their house.
Right.
Or going on vacation with them or babysitting for them. Like, and that was what was going on at Garfield. And so you are the first person who identified that. And that, like, for me, that was actually a moment where I was like, hold up, there's something to this Ella's podcast idea. So yeah.
Well, I'll take my share of the Pulitzer when you win. Amazing.
Well, it's so funny because it's so true. I was struck really deeply by this realization of like, oh, every single one of us were groomed by this institution to not question at all the most outrageous behavior from teachers, not at all limited to Al Jones and Tom Hudson. I would say at least 50% of my teachers were totally boundaryless wackos.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was normalized to the point. I mean, we noticed that when people were weird, but you would say, oh, ha, 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 ha. I remember talking to you at some point during COVID, and you told me that you and Isolde were talking about doing a podcast about this stuff. And you summed it up in this way where I was like, oh my God, of course that needs to be a podcast. Yeah, we reported on Mr. Hudson and then he killed himself and then everyone said it was our fault and we were children. That was so normal for like children to just be in the arena with adults. You know what I mean? Like there was I don't remember people ever drawing a distinction.
Yeah, like it didn't strike me as weird. And I'd like to go back to something Lindy said, but it, like, for example, I don't know if it was both of you or one of you would sometimes house sit one of our English teachers' houseboat. And it never struck me as weird that was happening, that you were spending the night at this woman. I mean, she wasn't there.
It was wildly inappropriate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember feeling jealous. Like parties. I was like, why am I not cool
enough,
special enough for a
were,
teacher to like me like that?
Ella and I were selected to houseboat sit, and it was amazing. Like, you should be jealous. It was so fun.
Her house was nice.
It was so nice. And she would let us throw parties. We would dip into her vodka.
Did she know that we were throwing parties?
Yes, she said you can throw small parties.
Small get-togethers and talk about Shakespeare.
I don't think she knew that. Yeah, I don't think she knew.
She didn't know what was actually going on.
Yeah. But it never crossed my mind as strange that would be a request a teacher would make of a student, or that, parents would be like, yeah, go for it. Have a good weekend at your English teacher's houseboat.
Oh, it was weeks, right? Like, I remember
I think it was weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow. I feel like it was a whole summer. Yeah.
I feel like I spent a summer at her houseboat, like Ella and I toggling back and forth. And randomly, Phyllis Fletcher, who I think you guys know, was she works with me at KOW. She's definitely a fan of you guys. She saw me in the green room at KOW and she was like, this podcast is making me think of how she mentioned the English teacher. She used to always had special people for houseboat sitting. And I always felt excluded and like I wasn't special enough. And I was like, wait, we were the houseboat sitters. Oh my God, I didn't realize other people felt jealous and that it created this in and out situation.
Yeah. I felt totally jealous. And I think I exacted revenge on her by teaming up with Meagan to be very, very bad in her class every day.
To ruin Shakespeare class for everyone. Can I go back to something Lindy said? So I want people to understand kind of what happened here. So you basically got a tip that Mr. Hudson was engaging in sort of inappropriate behavior with a student.
So here's what I remember. We learned about Al Jones being moved. He was like on leave at that point. It was very early in the school year. He hadn't been fired. And it was an inappropriate relationship with a student. Very few details were explained. And we're looking around and we're like, aren't all the relationships inappropriate?
Yeah.
What does it mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
No context for what that, like, how inappropriate is inappropriate. What's going to get our teachers like removed from the school, right? And that was kind of what we were trying to explore in this issue of The Messenger. And so then Rosie Bancroft, one of the reporters, came to me and she said, I want to report on one of my friends for the issue of The Messenger. He is having a lot of issues with Tom Hudson. And she detailed some pretty serious allegations against Tom Hudson about one of her friends who was not in our class. And, I just sort of freaked out. And I said, we should take this to our teacher. This is not really like, we're just going to write a story about it. It would be too explosive. There's what has to happen is this has to go to an adult. I remember very clearly, like we went outside of the messenger room for confidentiality. We like stood over on Alder by the football field and we told Dave Eric what Rosie had heard.
He was the faculty advisor for the student newspaper, The Messenger. Yeah.
Correct. So he was the adult, the natural adult you would bring it to. And he basically said, I think this was a Friday. He said, well, give me the weekend to think about it, what to do. And we were sort of like, okay. And I was, still freaking out. So I called Isolde, my best friend. We used to talk on the phone like every single day.
Yeah.
I called her that night and I said, I need to tell you something. This is what I heard in the context of writing this issue of The Messenger. Here's what I heard about Tom Hudson. Isolde's like, that's fucked. We need to do something. Come back to school on Monday. And Dave Eric says to me, I'm going to have a chat with Tom Hudson, man to man. Please don't let this, go anywhere else. Basically, like, I'm going to handle it. It doesn't need to be reported outside of this circle.
You tell Isolde about what's going on. Obviously, I mean, you guys are best friends. And are you working on this story together? Because Isolde, you were on staff of The Messenger also.
So Ella's byline is on it. So is Rosie's byline. My dad recalls Ella and me working together on it. I don't think so. I probably was like involved because I just put my nose in everything, but it was definitely Rosie and Ella's story. At that point, because Ella has told me, I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is really bad. And I told my mom, and my parents sat me down and they said, you can report it. We can go to authorities, but like what'll happen will be a really big deal. This isn't just like you let people know and you go on your life. There'll be a before and an after, and it could get really, really gnarly. And the idea of not reporting something and then kids continuing to get harmed seemed like incredibly selfish to me. So I was like, well, yeah, obviously we're going to report it. But I, in that moment, felt really scared too, because it felt sort of like I was like looking over a cliff, like, here we go. And that's exactly what it was. And so by the time Dave Eric got back to Ella and said, I'm going to have a man-to-man talk and tell Tom Hudson to knock it off, it was too late. Cat was out of the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what a heavy decision to be placed on your shoulders at all. It's,
Actually, yeah. Like, now that I think about it, maybe nobody should have said it's your choice. Maybe they should have been like, sorry, we're doing it.
Thank you for telling me. I'm the adult. I'll take it from here. That's right.
Oh my
That's
God.
right.
Okay, mind blown. This is the first time I've realized that maybe my parents should have been like, yikes. One of the things that was interesting about this is at this point, we haven't even talked about what the allegations were. The allegations were that Tom Hudson had asked children boys from the ages of 14 on up to shower with him naked. So he would coerce boys into showering naked. He would look at pornography on the boat with them. He would get porn and make the boys look at it with him. I think it was Playboys. He would then also get aroused in the shower, which I think made people feel uncomfortable. He would look at the boys naked in the shower. And on one occasion, he kicked a boy in the back. All of these things were things I had heard separately and had never really connected. I thought all of these things separate were like weird. Like I'd heard all of them, not the kicking, not the arousal. But once they were all pulled together and it was Rosie and Ella who kind of connected all the dots, it was like, oh, this is bad. But the whole normalizing, I'd heard about the porn, and I remember being in the Messenger classroom and we talked about, the porn on the boat. And we all laughed. Like, that is so wildly inappropriate. But we all were like, whoa, okay. So it wasn't until Ella and Rosie really connected the dots that even I went, whoa, that is really bad. Yeah. We have to do something.
We did end up publishing a very, very vague story about an inappropriate relationship with a teacher. It was, in fact, about Tom Hudson, but the student was not the student who had talked to Rosie, and the details were it was totally sanitized. Like, you wouldn't have been able to figure out like where it happened, who it was, what was going on.
And this was your ex-boyfriend. we're not going to say his name because he has asked us not to use his name, but he's allowing us to say he was Ella's ex.
It just so happened that issue of the messenger came out right at the same time that Tom Hudson was placed on leave.
Just to jump ahead a little bit, he goes on leave. I don't know how long he was on leave before we got the news. And by the way the news was delivered was our new principal, Cheryl Chow, rest in peace, just came on the intercom and said, "Attention students, Tom Hudson is dead." And then school was over. And that was like the only information I ever got about, like official information I ever got. Like obviously the rumor mill was sharing like, oh, he had died by suicide or whatever, but the school never told us that I remember. I remember seeing you, Isolde, that day, and you looked completely shell-shocked. And it's interesting, you talk in the podcast about how isolated you felt after, the both of you do, how isolated you felt after and how you felt blamed. And you were, in fact, being blamed by adults. And I don't know if other students were making you feel that way too. And I just, I'm listening to the first episode and I'm like, I got really emotional because I was like, I'd had no idea that was happening. Like it never one time crossed my mind that thought ever crossed my mind, like that you two somehow did something wrong. And I felt really sad for both of you, thinking that you felt, and you were like purposely isolated by adults to feel that way. And I had no idea. Like I just didn't have any idea that you felt, or that you, not that you felt blamed, but that you were being blamed by grownups who had a responsibility to protect us all, but instead were like, well, let me just have a man-to-man talk. Because like Dave Eric was actively just accusing both of you of like killing somebody.
Well, that's the other missing piece, is that the thing that he did to make sure that it was well known that to tie us to Tom Hudson's being placed on leave and under investigation was he held a all staff meeting of the messenger. He called everyone together.
Yes.
And then
I remember.
Said, I have just been made aware that I don't know if he said 2 journalists or 2 editors or exactly what language he used, but he basically said, journalists have been unethical in their reporting and they need to step down. And it was just like, I just remember like that sort of like that blood draining from your face feeling of just like, oh no. And he didn't have to say our names. It was just obvious that he was saying, Ella, Isolde, you guys, you got to go. And it's also wild because, listen, I practice employment law now. And the idea that a boss would call an all staff meeting to discipline someone for something is insane. Like these are the adults trying to teach us to become adults, and they're doing this insane shit. And we're like, I guess this is normal. I don't know. I'm not an adult yet.
Can I share my recollection of that? So I was also on the messenger at the time, but I worked in editorial. I just wrote like stupid joke fart columns like every other week or something.
They were so funny.
I don't know. I hope they don't put them on the internet because I bet they don't hold up.
I read one recently and howled with laughter. Do you have them? You want
no,
me to
God, no.
So funny.
No, please don't send them to me. I would
read
pass
them
away
aloud.
I
was
perish.
like, oh my God, she was so funny back then. And is just like so
I remember
funny.
That there was a group of boys who were making fun of the cheerleaders for being fat, and I remember being like, hello, have you seen you? Like, what are we talking about here? Which is probably like not what I would do now, but they got so mad at me that they, bots didn't exist at the time, but they did like the human version of like botting me. They like made me win. They like cooked the book so that I would win, most likely to manage the Rainier Avenue Wendy's. For like the superlatives in the messenger, because the yearbook did superlatives and the messenger did superlatives. And Aisha, who was the managing or editor in chief of, and I stand 10 toes down on Aisha to this day. She had my back so hard that she was like, I deleted that entire category. I will not let them do this to you. And I was like,
also an
Queen.
honor to manage the Rainier Wendy's.
Also,
first of all.
Yeah, and also there's nothing wrong with that. Let me make that clear.
Also, that's a good job.
Yeah. So I love Junior Bacon She. Come on. Anyway, so I had completely forgotten about it until I listened to the episode about it, and it just came flooding back to me. And I was so in my own world, and I just said, like, I just didn't know that this was happening. I really had I I guess, self-involved or whatever.
You were a teenager.
I just remember having that meeting and I'm like, this is the first time here. Like, what? I was like, what is going, who is he talking about? And what is this about? Like, what is the article? And I remember like trying to make eye contact with Aisha, and she was very studiously looking like at the desk, like wouldn't make, which fair enough, very reasonable. And I remember after being like, what's going on? And no one would say. And I just truly had no idea what was going on. It was just like, to me, it was like this completely psychotic explosion of emotion from this person over something I had absolutely no context for. And I was like, I feel like I would have known if something psycho had been published in the Messenger.
Dave Eric reviewed every single thing that he published. So like if something was inappropriate in the Messenger, he would have approved it. So
yeah, right.
Right. But I
also,
mean,
it wasn't a job and you couldn't fire us. It was
so eat shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to what degree do you think, and I assume you get into this in the podcast and I can't wait to listen to the rest of it, but to what degree was Dave Eric protecting Mr. Hudson because they were friends versus because he knew that he also had a weird boundaryless relationship with his journalism students? Like, or maybe it's just both. Why do I have to choose? Because it felt like there was like a circling of the wagons, and everyone sort of, or maybe not everyone, but certain teachers maybe realizing like, oh, I could get in trouble. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Was that part of it?
I'm not going to respond. I'm going to let Isolde respond just on Dave Eric. I do think a lot of teachers, most of the teachers at Garfield, just sort of signed on to this version of the story that was like the district put Mr. Hudson under investigation on hearsay, and then they made it last forever, which drove him bananas, and then he killed himself, and how horrible. It was sort of just like a we are all teachers and we are in solidarity with each other.
Yeah.
And that to me was very painful, because teachers I really cared about and liked just would say things in class suggesting that, oh, now we're not allowed to, do this or that fun thing because it would be inappropriate. And then I might be next. And I'm like, you are so full of shit. But it was, I think, just this like kind of loyalty among their kind was driving that. And they didn't have any information. I do remember the day after Mr. Hudson killed himself, I stayed home from school. I don't remember if you did, Isolde.
Yeah,
I did.
We were both on suicide watch. Remember that counselor would call us every 30 minutes to make sure we were still alive.
Jesus.
Yeah. And one teacher called me, Mr. Stever, is that his name? The other biology teacher? Stevers.
Mr. Stevers.
And he just called and was like, how are you doing? Okay. And just checked on me. And I was like, how beautiful. Thank you. And also, what the fuck? Why are you the only one? Like, there was just sort of this general sense of like, obviously the district got this wrong, and this is a great tragedy. And all of the teachers seem to really buy into that. In terms of Dave Eric specifically, Isolde, you can take that one.
I think, Lindy, you're right. It was both. I think that he was defending his colleague. I think Dave Eric was a pretty prominent member of the union. So I've seen in teachers' unions, teachers really defend each other because they really, and I love a good union. But here I did notice that. But then, I think Dave Eric, he told the Seattle Times, and he talked to us a lot about the line. Do you guys remember him talking about the line between appropriate and inappropriate? And what does that even mean? Mm-hmm. And it's actually a fair question. When you say inappropriate, is it leering at a kid or is it sleeping with them? Well, it's both. Mm-hmm. And so he was kind of talking about there's this gray area and what is it? And he talked a lot about, to us as students, about how us girls were hitting on the teachers, for better grades.
So as soon as that staff meeting had happened where Dave Eric said, I want you guys to resign, you've acted inappropriately and now this teacher's in trouble, whatever. Isolde had the instinct to go and talk to our principal, and I had the instinct to go back into his classroom and talk to him directly for God knows what reason. But I had this idea, like this, almost like this naive idea that it was a mistake that he didn't understand. Right? Like, he just doesn't, I'll
just clear it up. We'll just clear it up.
Yeah, exactly. And I was alone with him in the room, and he said to me, he gave me this long lecture, like, and this is where I think my sense that this had a lot to do with his own sense of fallibility and his own feelings of like being vulnerable. It was like, well, Ella, you just don't understand how the world is. I've done a lot of psychoanalysis, and the world is not black and white, it's gray. And, it goes both ways. And what about the girls who, come and rub their tits on me when they're asking about their grades? And I just remember being like, oh God, like I have to get out of here immediately. Cause like, what am I doing? Am I doing that? I'm not trying to do anything like that. I was trying to just keep my job on the messenger because it was going to look good on my college application and I like it. Mm-hmm. And he was, the whole, like, I've done all this psychoanalysis. It's like, I'm an adult, so I'm going to tell you how it is. But actually, you're also an adult participating in this. Mm-hmm. I'm saying like, well, you guys are almost adults. And, it's not even sometimes. I think he even referenced me sitting on the couch, probably in some like slutty little tank top. Like, he's like, well, I wouldn't know if I saw you on the street that you were a teenager. And I remember feeling like,
you wouldn't?
Oh no. Yeah. P.S. You would.
You would.
I see teens all the time and I'm like, teenager.
That's a child. Yeah. Can we talk about Dave Eric for a second? I think that I haven't heard any of the episodes that really dive deep into his role in this yet. And I'm looking forward to it because, I was a member of the Dave Eric cult of personality. I remember my junior year, I was really desperate for him to like me. I think we should back up and just explain what his vibe is. Like, so I don't know it's really hard for me to gauge how old people were when we were teenagers, but I don't know, maybe late 40s at the time. Maybe
early 40s.
Early 40s. Yeah. He
so
wore
like our age now.
Our age now.
Now, at our age now, do you have a hard time telling when someone is a teenager?
And yet, and he wore a leather jacket every day and he he rode a motorcycle to school. So he would like walk into school in his motorcycle jacket, holding his helmet and wearing his boots. He was like really cool.
That's right.
He was really funny, sarcastic and I wanted him to laugh at my jokes and I wanted him to think that I was smart. I did really want to be on Messenger. And so I don't think I was buttering him up, but I signed up for his classes. I wanted him to know me, and you talk about this in one of the episodes, like getting one of his letters of recommendation was a real badge of honor because he would say no to people. Like students would ask and he would decline and he would say, no, I don't have anything to recommend. And I remember one time I overheard one of our high school bullies ask him for a recommendation. I don't know why she asked in front of other people, but I remember overhearing it. And he said, I don't have anything to recommend. And he declined. And I was like, oh shit. It's weird to say this, but like we were tight. I thought he was like my friend and we would like joke around and he would joke around with me. Never anything that I felt made me uncomfortable or like crossed the line, at least in my mind at the time.
You mean cross the gray area?
Yeah, he never crossed the Rubicon of the gray area. I took his AP Language Arts class, and I remember making a comment about a book that he thought was like a really astute observation. And to this day, I remember it because I was so obsessed with the validation that I got from him in that moment, And so I guess euphemistically, you could call Dave Eric mercurial. He was a very emotional guy, and you never knew what was going to set him off. You never knew what was going to make him mad. And he would react violently if he got really mad. I think we all either heard about or remember the day he chucked a chair at somebody in the messenger room. And I remember, for like the fire drills and like emergency training stuff that we had to do, the first time it happened, he was joking. He was like, I'm the incident commander. And he was joking about how he was the commander of the hall. And I thought it was so funny. And then we had a different drill and I was like, Mr. Eric, incident commander. But he was not in a good mood that day. And he whipped his head around at me and said, don't talk to me like that. Like he got really mad at me. And I just remember being like, I feel like my insides liquefied. Like I was like, oh my God, I disappointed my best friend, And to me, that was like the beginning of the end because just the way I was raised, the one thing I can't deal with is sort of unpredictable moods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I just remember I went pretty immediately from being obsessed with his approval and so desperately wanting his letter of recommendation to like not ever speaking to him again because I was so scared of him. And so like the entire second semester of senior year, I just tried to avoid contact with him. I didn't talk to him, didn't speak up in class. Like I was really scared of him. And so to kind of like revisit him through this podcast has been emotional for me because I think I was carrying a lot of like, I don't know. I really don't know what my feelings are about him right now. I don't know. It's like, I bet you feel the same to a degree as Isolde, where it's like, this man taught you a lot.
He is in my head with every edit I do.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna lie. Like he was such a good teacher.
And yet the way he treated us is like completely unacceptable. You can't talk to kids the way he talked to kids. You can't throw things, let alone a chair. You can't say the kind of stuff that he said to Ella. And yet he was like this incredible influence on my life. And I was so scared of him, I didn't talk to him for 4 months. And then I left and never saw him again until this is just a side note. I moved to a little studio apartment on Finney. And one day I walked out of my apartment building and he was just standing on the sidewalk. He was just outside of my apartment. And like, just by coincidence, he was just out there talking to somebody. And I looked at him and he looked at me and I went, huh? Like I made the noise and then I ran away. And I was like 24 and I was still like so scared of him, you know? So I guess that's just like a long-winded way for me to ask, like, I don't know. I don't even know what my question is.
Like, how did it feel to do this?
Yeah. I mean, like, what did it bring up for you? I just really want to say something really quickly, because in the first episode of Isolde, you explain this situation that happened where one student brings you over to talk to Mr. Hudson, and Mr. Hudson kind of strong arms you and tries to intimidate you.
Yeah.
And you say in the episode, don't feel bad for teenage Isolde. I don't. And I was in tears on the bus and I was like, I do. I feel bad for her. And then I started to feel bad for myself too. I was like, they treated us bad.
Isolde got a podcast out of all this.
Yeah. But I guess I'm wondering like what emotions, I guess what I'm really getting at is like what emotions were coming. I mean, I assume all of them, but can you talk a little bit about like the roller coaster?
Honestly, I have been treating this like an investigation. There've been very occasional little blips.
Yeah.
I'd say when I interview victims, I feel the way I feel when I interview victims. The real emotion of all of this hit me last night when I suddenly went, oh, after the first episode came out, I was like, the genie is out of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put it back in. This isn't just my little secret side project that I've been noodling over forever and texting Ella about all the time. Like, it's suddenly no longer safe. Like, it had been so safe in this safe space with my team. And I also was like, what if I hurt all those kids all over again? What if they blame me all over again for probing the pain? Because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's for the greater good, but I'm doing it. That's what I thought when we were teenagers. So it threw me back. And I literally just like followed my husband around and I was just like, don't stay close. Like I needed comfort. And he was like, get away. But I did. It was like last night for the first time I felt like, oh shit, here we go again. But I hadn't, until then, I really, really have felt like treated this like a professional endeavor, which is hilarious. Like I even got a therapist for this and she's been like, how's the pod? And I'm like, it's great. Anyway, my other problems. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I've got shit to talk about.
Next week's session will be heavy.
To zoom out, I can't speak for anyone else, so I'm not trying to, but from my perspective, the story here is all of us were mistreated and like gaslit and groomed and manipulated to let adults do whatever they needed to do to fulfill whatever needs they had for their ego or for their repressed desires or for their, perverted, I don't know what the right word is, criminal tendencies. And then when one child said something happened to me that I don't think was right, and then three other children, the two of you and Rosie, believed them. And like, first of all, what a scary thing to do. What a brave thing to even tell anyone, especially in that environment in the late 90s, when the whole culture is working so hard to normalize the sexualization of teenagers. And then you're so brave and you go ahead and you do what's right, and adults are not taking this off your shoulders, not relieving you of this burden. And you don't even know to object to that, because we were all trained to think that the greatest compliment is for an adult to treat you like another adult. And then they tell you that you were inappropriate and that you did something bad, to send the message to like reinforce the message that no one should bother speaking up about anything bad that's been done to them, anything inappropriate, anything harmful, anything abusive. And not only that, but these things shouldn't qualify as abuse at all. Like, it's the whole thing is totally fucked. And the only person who did anything right is the three of you.
Yeah.
And the idea that we're still feeling doubt, or that anyone is still feeling doubt about that, it's just crazy to me. And I'm so sorry. Like, my relationship with the situation, it's very vague. I had Mr. Eric for language arts. I had Mr. Hudson. I didn't do Post 84.
Post 84 was like the outdoor wilderness / survival type of program that Tom Hudson ran, and he would take kids out to the mountains and fall into glaciers and stuff.
Yeah.
And
so the messenger was Dave Eric's Cult of Personality. Post 84 was Tom Hudson's Cult of Personality. I had Mr. Hudson for biology and forest ecology, and I did the very first level of the outdoor education, which was called survival, where I slept in the woods overnight by myself in a shelter that I built. And then at 6 a.m, Mr. Hudson came by and gave me a Snickers bar. And then I remember when the article came out and being like, whoa, seems like something important we should probably talk about. But also this feeling of like, oh boy, this is going to fuck something up. Like, this is going to be, I don't know, this is going to be like destabilizing to this ecosystem. And then Mr. Hudson went on leave. And then I remember Cheryl Chow saying, Tom Hudson is dead over the intercom. I remember where I was standing in the building. Yeah. But I don't, just for what it's worth, I don't remember ever connecting that with any of you having done anything wrong.
Yeah,
like I
neither.
didn't learn about that part of the narrative until we were in college, and and Ella, you told me about it then.
I think there's like a teenage thing, like we're the stars of our own movie.
Yeah.
And so like Dave Eric blamed us, and maybe, Mr. Kunselman gave me dirty looks, and like somebody gave me a bad grade. Do you know what I mean?
Mr.
No,
Kunselman.
But I do think this was extremely well documented that in 2000 at Garfield, everybody blamed the investigation for Tom Hudson's death. And we were under the impression that there would have been no investigation if we had just zipped it.
Right.
And so it's like, whether people connect that to us or not, whether they are familiar enough with what happened to know that it was like, oh, Ellen, Isolde, and Rosie really screwed the pooch on this one. It doesn't matter, because what I took away was like, oh, well, if I hadn't, if I had just done what Dave Eric told me and not told Isolde, and we had just shut up about it, Mr. Hudson would still be alive, and all of these people who are grieving and crying and losing their minds would be happily falling in another glacier,
I didn't say that to mean like, oh, I don't think that really happened.
No.
But it was, you're right. It was like such a sophisticated messaging campaign. Like, this is the consequence if you report on stuff like this in a vaguely unethical way, which we're never going to define what was unethical about it. Even though allegedly you're the journalism teacher. So tell me, what were the ethics that were violated? Like, anyway.
And to shroud the entire thing in secrecy. And I think that was the other thing. We were not allowed to talk about it. Like, everything was so secretive. And the story was written the minute his death was announced. It was like, we are going to memorialize this man. We are going to, talk about his heroic acts. And there's no other discussion that can happen. It was not appropriate to talk about what about the allegations and the investigation, and what about that? Did it all? So there was another moment, and Isolde, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this because it's probably in the podcast. Cheryl Chow took us to dim sum at some point during our senior year after Tom Hudson
No, this
died.
is not in the podcast. Go ahead.
She took us to dim sum and said basically, I'm not allowed to talk about this, but I'm telling you so you know. He was, the conclusion of the investigation was that he had behaved inappropriately and he was going to be fired. And then he killed himself. So now everything has to be sealed. Sorry. And I remember feeling like, oh gosh, how nice that she told us this. I'm so relieved. Isolde was like, what the fuck? Why are we hiding in a restaurant in the International District? Why isn't this why is this a secret? It's not fair. And that was the right response. But at the time.
And Cheryl Chow was like the closest thing you had to an ally in this whole thing.
Yeah.
She's not rescuing you at all. She's essentially
just
saying,
like, you can sleep at night, but definitely never talk about this because it's all secret.
God.
I do want to say about Cheryl Chow, I really was pretty upset with her in high school. However, I have since heard tape of her talking about this whole thing, and she's really sophisticated. The way she thinks about it, the way what she was up against. I suddenly was like, oh, whoa, this is interesting. She was up against teachers in faculty meetings, calling her murder, screaming at her, going, murder. And, she was doing her best. And she's the reason this got off, the investigation got off the ground at all.
Right.
Imagine under Al Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. He would have been like, brother.
Carry on.
Welcome to the party.
Yes. Welcome to the party.
Lest anyone think this is some relic of the 90s that isn't relevant anymore. My daughter, she transferred to Franklin High School for her sophomore year. And frickin' Dave Eric was a teacher there still, 20 years later. And I had to be like, don't take his classes because I don't trust him.
Yeah.
And this is something I want to be really, really clear. This is not a case of a few bad apples where there's a few teachers who get away with things. And as with everything, there's a few things that are off. No, Seattle Public Schools has by design made it so that it is nearly impossible to track misconduct. Mm-hmm. Their teacher's contract says you can essentially expunge your personnel file every 4 years. And actually sooner in some cases, if a case is not deemed valid. So you've got this situation. And also there's the rule, you're trained in Seattle Public Schools. I'm a volunteer, a parent volunteer, and you are trained in misconduct. And the rule is if you suspect sexual abuse, let the principal know. I'm sorry, no, you dial 911.
That's crazy.
Why would you go to the principal? Also, Seattle Public Schools is everywhere else seems to be training kids and training parents and doing all these great. No, Seattle Public Schools, it's we have active shooter drills, we have fire drills, we have earthquake drills. None of those things really ever happen. But kids being harassed or abused by teachers, I think it's something 17% of kids report that happening. And they are so big on making sure they don't train kids. And not only that, the district will not respond to any of my questions or any of my phone calls.
Oh, still throughout this whole process.
Present day.
Wow.
They will not. They'll respond. I tested it where I contacted them about something else. Mm-hmm. They replied to that.
Sure.
But not and then I called. I was like, I just want to make sure I'm so sorry. Maybe I'm not getting your calls. Being genuine, not sarcastic. Are you just not calling me back? Or is it going to something else, my spam filter or something like that? No response.
Wow.
So I'm going down next week for a total Michael Moore moment. I cannot believe it.
Has this been healing for you guys doing this?
Yeah, I was going to ask, because I feel like the reason that this podcast kind of kicked off is because Ella, you were feeling, I want to get a resolution to this at least. Are you feeling a little bit like you have, or how are you both feeling about it?
Yes. I mean, obviously, I haven't been involved pretty much since 2022 in reporting the story. I just sort of consult with Isolde and learn about what's happening as she develops it with her KUOW team. But even before that, just talking, it was we just never talked about it. It was so strange how we never spoke about this with all of our peers. Because again, I think, this shroud of secrecy, this idea that we were all supposed to tell one story and only that story, and any other story was in conflict to this great man and his great legacy and how the district got it wrong. And so we never I never talked to Rosie. I never heard, hearing other people talking to Toby, talking to different peers who had at least some ancillary or important role in how it all went down was really healing. And I think, just knowing, in some ways, knowing more about how it all happened and understanding when this all come out in the podcast that we were not as important as we thought we were, as important or responsible or culpable or whatever word you want to use. It was, when somebody is abusing kids for such a long time, and with so many children are involved. Yeah. There are other parents, there are other students. There's a complex way that this all kind of bubbled up, and it's not really about anything we did or didn't do. And so that's also it's helpful to just put it all in perspective. I just think, it's just been helpful to process how it went and how it affected, I think, both of us, all of us in our lives going forward, and just feel like it's sort of integrated and not this weird thing that happened that I never wanted to talk about again after it happened, except with Isolde,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
should we take a break and then play a little game?
Yeah, let's do it. What a podcast. It's called Adults in the Room, produced by KUOW, our former father, before we moved out.
There is no laughter in this podcast.
No laughter.
That's why it got greenlit.
Allowed. Anyways, so we'll be right back. We're going to play a special Garfield themed game of FMK, and the podcast is called Adults in the Room. Everywhere you get your shows, it's sensational, and you will love it and be sad, but in a good way. So get into it.
Thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you guys, and I love you so much.
Okay, let's get this game popping.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back with Ella and Isolde, two proud bulldogs. Do you guys ever just walk around singing I'm so glad when you're feeling down?
Literally, all the time.
I love that that part of it that's like a minor key where it's I'm so glad. It's kind of spooky. I'm so glad.
Megan's referring to the song that we would sing at assemblies and sports games. I'm so glad I go to Garfield High.
I believe written by Dr. Clarence Acox, but I could be wrong.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Shout out to him. We're going to play a game. It's called FMK. We, of course, have changed it. It's going to be Garfield themed, which will be fun for 17 people who listen to this podcast and confusing for everyone else. But I like it and I think it's funny. So the categories are flip off. We decided to take the normal F out, given the topic. Marry, kiss, declare a tardy butt, which is what one of our other biology teachers, Mrs. Brown, would call you if you were late to class. She would say, tardy butt number 1, tardy butt number 2. And then she would make you sit in a special tardy butt seat. Anyways, so that's so declare tardy butt. Throw down the smokestack, which doesn't exist anymore. But every year the seniors would somehow get a special key and sneak up to the top of the smokestack and paint the year of graduation at the top. And then when they remodeled the school, they tore it down. So
I wasn't involved in that.
I wasn't involved with that either. So throw down the smokestack. Push into the bushes at Ezel, which was across the street and happened to a classmate of ours. He got jumped by a group of women middle schoolers. He got thrown into the bushes.
Who was that?
Off the record, it was. We'll delete that. Manage the men's varsity soccer team. Somebody in this Riverside room did that in high school, but you don't have to pick her when we get to the contestants. slam their hand in a door on purpose, even though you are at work. A real scenario that happened between two guidance counselors, I believe, also our senior year.
Remembers that?
Yes, the police came to our school because of the guidance counselor's altercation.
The octagon that they turned the guidance counselor office into. And finally, Grind On at Tolo, which was our version of Sadie Hawkins, The Girl Would Ask the Guy. So that is, of course, the famous game FMKDTPMSG.
That's right.
And your contestants are Rick, a wonderful gentleman who used to wander the hallways. He was an adult man. I know it sounds weird, but he was a beloved figure of Garfield High School. And actually, Isolde wrote an article about him for KUOW that we'll link to in the show notes. He just really was just a fan of Garfield. I don't think he even went there.
He was pretty profoundly delayed, I think.
He loved Garfield, big fan of the Bulldogs, and he would come into our classrooms and write the date on the board. And then he would answer a series of questions. You would say, Rick, who built this house? And he would say, I did. And you would say, how many bricks did it take? And he would say, 2. And then, I don't know if you guys ever asked him this, but this was my favorite. What's your favorite bone in the body?
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, the coccyx, which was, I'll never forget it. Yep. So Rick is your first contestant. Number 2 is, of course, the Transformer, which Ella does not remember. But for some reason, there was a mural of an enormous, of like Megatron. Is he a Transformer? Just like on the second floor hallway across from Mr. Zong's chemistry classroom. And it was like, did the inventor of Transformers go to Garfield or somebody was just a fan? I don't know. But it also made the Transformer rest in peace because that got painted over in the remodel as well. But also, wouldn't it be
so Garfield for someone to just paint it and then the
they
school
just
to be
left
like,
it.
Fine.
They left it for 25 years. And
That's what it felt like. Yeah.
And this is Lindy's edition. A can of pepper spray that someone sprayed in the hall outside the library, I believe also our senior year.
I don't know if anyone remembers
Every
that
day.
era.
Wasn't it all the time? It was
all
like
the time.
always pepper spray. And I remember because Isolde and I shared a locker in that hallway.
Oh
my God.
We were pulling our shirts up to get into our locker.
It definitely happened year after year.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Do you guys remember we were getting bomb threats every day for like 11 days straight? Like, what the fuck was going on there?
I mean, do you guys remember also like, well, this is back to Mr. Hudson, but his office was set fire to? And then
No.
Okay, different story. But also like tiles would fall. You'd be walking to class and tiles would just fall and you'd be like, oh, well.
Meanwhile, the state is voting on whether or not we should blow up the Kingdom and build a new stadium for the Mariners because tiles are falling in the Kingdom. I said, a tile fell on Sydney Williams in math class yesterday. Does anyone give a shit about that? And the answer was absolutely not. No, we don't. Okay. So pepper spray, Redacted's puke on the floor in the Popular Kids prom picture, which I was not in, but the puke made it. And it was like every single Popular Kid all pointing at the pile of puke. So the puke is a contestant.
Basically, a popular girl got too drunk at prom and she puked on the floor in the picture.
Immediately, like as soon as she got there.
Okay, then we have the aliens that abducted Mrs. Clark, the photography teacher, and apparently none of you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
But Mrs. Clark was the photography teacher. She was, I think, originally from New Mexico, and she would always be like, have you ever seen the lights? They would visit me in the late summer and take me away. So shout out to her. That's a contestant as well. Of course, Fraggle.
Where did we go to high school?
And there's so many teachers we haven't even talked about. Mr. Kelly, Mr. Abrahamson. I mean, we're truly,
remember Mr. Zahaiko would tell everybody he had coral growing in his leg because he swam too close to a coral reef. Okay. The aliens abducted Mrs. Clark. The Fraggle, which was the cinnamon bagel that you could buy during like midday break or something, and all proceeds helped the messenger. So I don't know. We were funding our own demise, I guess. Jimi Hendrix's Ghost, of course. And your final two contestants, Meagan and Lindy. Okay, you ready to play FMKDTPMSG?
I don't know how to play this game. I'm
just going to read a category and you say who you would most want to.
Yeah. So like say you say you've always wanted to marry Meagan. So then when we get to marry, then you say Meagan.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can only you can only pick one for each category. So like
so
you got to make some tough choices.
Which teacher was it that said, if you don't stop talking 1 year from now, you will be 1-year-old ghost?
It's Mr. Psycho.
I never personally experienced it, but it just sticks with me. What a cute way to be like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say the famous Dr. Seawalk III, which is like, whoever is talking back there has gonorrhea of the mouth. And I said, that's not the saying. That is not the saying.
I was also kind of hoping that on this list there would be the, like, what were they called? The power team? You guys remember the team? Like,
and they came and they ripped the phone book in half. And then they weren't allowed to like literally evangelize, but they'd be like, there's someone you can talk to about your problems. Wink. Jesus. And meanwhile, they're doing feats of strength in the name of the Lord. It was so nuts.
I was like 15% bad, in high school. Like I was like bad curious.
I would lower that down to like 7.
Yeah. But wait till you hear this. Sometimes I would skip an assembly and I skipped the power team assembly. I didn't know what it was, but I skipped it.
Fucked up.
Wrong one to skip.
I came back to school and everything had changed. Everyone was different.
Interestingly, I never skipped an assembly because I was like, I got to get the story. This shit's going to suck.
That's right.
I can't wait to tell everyone about it. Okay. So girls, who would you flip off
from this list?
You
can choose Rick. You could flip off the Transformer. You could flip off a can of pepper spray that someone sprayed in the hall outside the library. You could flip off the puke. You could flip off the aliens, a Fraggle, Jimi Hendrix's ghost, or Meagan or Lindy, I guess.
I would flip off the pepper spray.
Yeah.
It's my memory that it was like a daily thing.
Yeah.
And it was extremely,
agitating. Yeah.
That is so insane to me that we just daily would walk through falling tiles and fumes of pepper spray. And it was just
chemical
like,
weapons.
All right.
But hey, Ken Griffey Jr. got his new stadium. Who would you marry?
Meagan and Lindy.
Oh, that's
Can I marry both of you?
Yes, you can. That's
what? But you'll suck up answer. I was only going to say Lindy.
What am I going to marry the Transformer?
Sorry. No, Lindy and I have lived together.
We have
for a number of years. We're very compatible. Mm-hmm. Our birthdays are one day apart. We could have a joint birthday party every year.
Look, Lindy just wrote a book about having a thruple. This can be a quadruple.
You can add
polycule. I can add as many people as I want. Yeah. Ella, what I have like a complex about. I still think about it because you taught me a lesson, which is that when we were living together in one of our ramshackle dumps, you and I shared a bathroom and you came to me so kindly and you did your brave talking and you said, you need to stop leaving your hair all over the shower. Because I was just like wiping it on the wall, creating a little design. It was in the drain. And then I would be like, I'll go get that later with a toilet paper. And then I would forget. And you were like, Lindy, I love you.
Listen here, big dog.
And to this day, I think about it probably every day. Every time I take a shower, I'm like, I don't want to disappoint Ella.
Okay, so you're already thinking about each other in the shower. This is going to be a great marriage.
This is going to be a great marriage.
Me personally, I would marry Jimi Hendrix's ghost. That sounds really fun to me. But
do you think do you get the estate? Do you think?
Something to think about.
I would marry the aliens that abducted Miss Clark. They sound pretty cool.
Who would you girls kiss?
I would kiss a Fraggle.
I think I would give Rick a chaste kiss on the cheek. I really just loved Rick. I think he was one of the best things about my high school experience. He was a great guy, May he rest in power, by the way. So
I feel that having Rick at our school was like really, really good for all of us. And it was good for Rick. Like in terms of the things Garfield did right, like how beautiful that we had this man who was fully integrated into our lives. Like to be serious for a second, that's beautiful.
It was amazing.
And then it connected people across, like, because he was there for like 30 years or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And everybody who went to Garfield from like 1980 to 15 or something, they all know who he is. So
I have a tiny little Rick story that I love so much. It's, at one point, he stopped coming because his best friend at Garfield died. Do you guys remember Joe? Like P.E. Joe?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
of
he
course.
died. And this was Rick's like best best friend at Garfield. So he died and Rick stopped coming to Garfield. So the principal sent Officer Benny or somebody like that up north to Shoreline to go get Rick to come back to Garfield. And so you remember Rick would have a garbage bag filled with Metro
bus schedules, right?
Bus transfers.
Schedules and bus transfers or something like that. Anyway, they got Rick, like either Rick started getting rides or started taking the bus back, and he was like, okay. And so then he bonded with Officer Benny. And then he was back in the mix.
I love that.
Isn't that so
nice.
Cute?
Yeah, it's not Garfield
really
without Rick.
Who would you kiss?
I would kiss the aliens that abducted Miss Clark.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think of Fraggle so that I could get a little cinnamon on my lips.
That sounds nice too.
Doesn't that sound tasty?
Who would you like to declare toddy butt number one?
I mean, probably Megan and Lindy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, an honor.
I love it.
Yeah, Megan.
Ella?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Megan.
Man, I had Miss Brown for 1 week, and then I said goodbye, and I transferred. I
shan't be learning here.
I pulled some ruthless strings to get out of that class. I was like, I can't. This is not a normal person.
Isolde, I was just telling them that at some point you had 3 classes or something. You had like no classes on your schedule.
Yeah. I had 2 classes on my schedule, and I've forgotten his name, but the school counselor Callahan, he said to me, Isolde, when you're 82, is this going to matter? And I was like, actually, maybe, potentially, but also like, I don't know if I'll make it to 82, and why 82, like, is so random.
It literally his job to help you manage your schedule.
Yeah, like, is it going to matter? You don't have classes. So I
Turns out he was right, I guess.
Yeah, he was right. But like, I started a Tai Chi club because he wanted a Tai Chi club. So I got, 100 student signatures. And he got his Tai Chi club, and then he taught Tai Chi in the gym.
What a freak.
And then he signed you up for classes, right? It was a little quid-pro-quo situation.
Yeah, it was a quid-pro-quo, and then I got classes.
Oh my God. What the fuck, dude?
I'm pretty sure that's not how that's supposed to work.
I don't think so.
It is 100% the Garfield way, though.
It is.
Who would you throw down the smokestack?
Probably the puke.
The Fraggle? The Fraggle.
Wow.
You didn't
I
like
don't
the
like
Fraggle?
a sweet
Ella
bagel.
is rebuking the Fraggle. Okay.
Fraggle.
I think I would throw the puke down also. That brings up a lot of emotions for me, remembering the popular kids' puke prom photo. You know, I don't know.
See, I just feel like I'm glad that happened at our prom. Isn't that silly? But I'm like, that's just like,
It's wholesome.
Yeah.
It's wholesome.
Okay. Who would you push into the bushes at Iselle's?
Iselle's, if you're not from Seattle, is a legendary fried chicken restaurant that was across the street from our high school, constantly tantalizing us all day long with smells as we were trying to learn.
Yes.
the Transformer?
Yeah, I think he probably deserves it. Mm-hmm.
Probably the Transformer.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I mean, I don't. Good luck with that. He's probably very heavy.
Probably enormous. He'll probably just transform into something that you can't throw. Who would you pick to manage the varsity men's soccer team?
Jimi Hendrix's Ghost.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Jimi Hendrix Ghost.
I don't know. I think the aliens might have some moves.
I feel disloyal not picking Megan.
That's okay.
But like, you already had your turn.
I already had my turn. I just want I want our listeners to know that I did letter in varsity soccer in high school because I was the manager of the boys varsity soccer team alongside Mr. Zahaiko, who aforementioned claims he had coral growing in his leg because he swam too close to a reef.
And if you do not be quiet, you will be a 1-year-old ghost 1 year from now.
Yeah. So shout out to him. Who would you slam their hand in a door on purpose, even though you are at work? I think we're running out of people. We might not have enough people.
Yeah. No, we do. I did the count. I did the math. I would slam Megan's hand in a door on purpose.
Even though we're at work. Yep.
No, I wouldn't. No, you're right. I would slam the Transformer's hand in the door because he wouldn't even feel it. He would just transform it into a perfectly healthy hand.
Yeah, totally. But Isolde, your thoughts?
Do you guys remember how, as a result, we couldn't get because he slammed the hand. This counselor slammed the hand of our counselor.
Yes.
And then
correct.
we couldn't have our college recommendations signed. So we had to write all our own college recommendations and sign them. So I was just like, Isolde is so amazing, right? Like,
Oh my
but
God.
it was so weird. Like, yeah. And then she had a giant purple cast, but it was like her fingers got slammed. So why was the cat anyway?
What the fuck was happening, you guys?
Who knows?
Okay.
And finally, who would you grind on at Tolo?
I would grind on Jimi Hendrix's Ghost.
Jimi Hendrix's Ghost.
Yeah. That's the only acceptable answer.
I would grind
Other
on
than
the
Lindy
Transformer.
and Meagan.
We were so good at grinding.
We probably
back
did
then.
grind at the Tolo.
Yeah, we probably did.
Actually, probably.
And I'd do it again.
And I'd do it again. Girls asking girls to Tolo. Ooh, scandal. Thank you for playing this dumb game with us. And thank you for being on our show. I'm so much looking forward to hearing the rest of your podcast, Adults in the Room. And thank you for like this incredible piece of journalism that you've put out into the world, and super excited to hear more about it. So shout out to you guys. Any final thoughts?
Wait, I have one.
Okay.
I know you weren't asking me, but I just want to say, like, there's all these documentaries now about like these different parts of the 90s, like Woodstock 99 or 2000 or whatever it was, and like Abercrombie and Fitch, and it's so wild to look back on what the culture was actually like and have a little bit of perspective. And this to me is such a huge part of that whole story. And it's such a visceral snapshot of the feeling of being a teenager in the 90s, which was so fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, like Britney Spears, like, I mean, stuff that you reference in the podcast. And I just really I'm like addicted to this kind of content right now, where I just want to understand my own youth, because there's so many things you just took for granted as normal, and it wasn't normal, it was bad.
Yeah.
And like,
that's one of the reasons I wanted to do it, is I was like, I wonder how our peers think about this whole situation with all of the perspective that we've gained. And now we're the same age as some of the teachers that, you know, like, it just shifts how you think about these things. And there was Me Too. And, you know, there's just so many moments that have sort of shifted, I think, our at least cultural perspective, even if Seattle public schools are still doing crazy things and not answering Isolde's questions.
That's really the biggest sin in all of this.
I know, that's disgusting. Yeah. That's disgusting. I'm excited for your Michael Moore moment for sure.
I'm excited too. Thank you for having us and for showcasing this on your wonderful podcast. I'm really honored. It feels like really cool to have like two best friends. I will say, like, KOW did text me back, which is about you guys, two best friends from class of 2000.
Yeah.
And then on the heels of you guys is like, Ella, two best friends from class of 2000. I think we're
just
good after
like
this.
serious, boring ones. I mean, no, but listen, I did, like, the first time I heard your podcast, I was like, oh, it's just like we're back in the messenger room and Lindy and Meagan are fucking around on the couch, making everybody laugh. And Isolde and I are like, oh, we have an edit to finish. But it's so fun to listen to your podcast because it feels like hanging out with you guys. And I like it so, you're both so funny and wonderful.
Because the text me back is basically just feels like senior year of high school, but like more sophisticated.
Thank you for saying sophisticated.
Most of our friends don't listen to it. You know, there would be no Text Me Back podcast without Isolde.
Literally.
Was like, oh, I KOW might be interested, and like set us up with meetings there. And like, you were instrumental in this even existing at all. And I won't say the same in reverse, because you guys were already working on this and you're you, but there was a moment when we were already making the podcast and they were still like looking at your pitch for this podcast. And Meagan and I were like, we will quit if you don't greenlight Ella and Isolde's podcast.
Well, I have wondered, why did all of a sudden the podcast, which was buried in the slush pile, get revived out of nowhere?
Hard. For your, every time we saw Marshall or Jeannie, we were like, when are you greenlighting Isolde's podcast? Because I'd like to know what happened to me 25 years ago. So when is that happening? Like Lindy and I have been waiting on tenterhooks for probably 3 years because you guys have been talking about it for maybe longer. And we've been absolutely harassing the brass at KUOW about it the whole time that we were there because we just knew it was going to be amazing, and it is. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Ella Husaga and Isolde Raftery, two beautiful best friends. Garfield, class of 2000. Go Bulldogs, by the way. I'm so glad I went to Garfield. Hi. No, we're not going to sing it. Come back anytime and listen to Adults in the Room everywhere you get your podcasts. Isolde and Ella are leaving now. Lindy and I are going to end the show, which has been going on for 7 business days. All right, you can leave now if you want.
I love you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye. Thanks.
Okay, the show's ending now. I love them.
Megan,
So
I love them
nice.
so much that it hurts me in my bones.
I can't believe they
Because-
said, let's fucking take the skills that we learned from our enemy to destroy our enemy.
Dude, that's
You know what I
incredible.
mean? It's
That's
incredible.
incredible. I can't believe that I don't get to still be housemates with Ella.
I
I
know.
find
I
that
forgot that you
to be
guys
rude.
lived together for so long after
Yeah.
or during college.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Shout out to Occidental C.
That's
Get
right.
into it. Look, we hope you enjoyed that. Again, please give Adults in the Room a listen. I've just been so impressed with what I've heard so far. I think it's really interesting. Obviously, you've put it together. Content warning. There's a lot of stuff that's difficult to listen to.
Yeah.
But it's great. And I think they are very respectful. They've done such a wonderful job with this really difficult material. And give it a listen and let us know if you like it.
Yeah, and it's a real cliffhanger. Like, we don't know what happens in the rest of the episodes.
Actually, today was the first day I ever even heard like what the actual allegations were against Mr. Hudson. Like, I'd heard some of that, but I didn't even really know. Like, they just never told us anything. And I get that, like, some of it is like, look, it's HR stuff, it's legal stuff. They can't tell us everything, but it's really, really wild to me that like all we got was the principal saying he's dead, and that was it.
And
you
look,
know?
I loved Mr. Hudson. He was a great teacher. I
never
remember
had him.
Well, like, so I live in the woods now, female woodsman. I walk through the woods. I look at the trees. I say pseudosugum and ZCI. I say Thuya placata. I say Alnus rubra. I remember what I learned from him in forest ecology.
Crazy.
It's crazy. But I remember when he was put on leave, even then, with all this context of the way the culture worked in the 90s, I remember being like, well, why would someone say that?
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
why would someone say that if it wasn't? And I don't think I guess it's possible, but I'm pretty sure I didn't go to his memorial. I have no memory of doing that.
When I heard about some of the rumors around the allegations, I don't remember thinking anything other than like, probably. I don't think I ever had any thought of like, well, who would besmirch this man's? I just was like, ugh. But I don't remember having a moment of disbelief about it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I remember being sad and like disappointed because I did really admire him as a teacher, and he was funny and also scary. Like, he would like yell and be violent.
Got emotional.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I had so many male teachers growing up who would have violent
Just
outbursts.
chuck
It's
shit
crazy.
and scream. Yeah, it's so crazy.
It's so crazy. I remember in middle school, Tyler the Wizard was being annoying, and a teacher picked him up by his ankles and dipped his head in the trash can. Which I laugh when I say it, but you shouldn't do it.
That's pretty wild, gang.
Middle
crazy.
school. That's like, we were like probably 6th graders. Anyway,
that's crazy.
I just like, you know, I remember this happening. And I don't know. I remember even as a kid being able to set aside my attachment to this person and being like, well, kind of seems like something happened.
Yeah.
And
I guess I
then-
just have never thought that people lie about stuff like that. I can't think of a time. I just can't.
Also,
you know?
Also, you know what is, I don't know if they get into this in the documentary, but a fucked up thing is that in the 90s, you still weren't allowed to be an out gay teacher.
Right.
And Mr. Hudson, you know, he was married to a woman, you know, he was not, I don't think I don't know that he had gotten to any point of identifying as gay or whatever. I don't know what his relationship was with that. They talk about it a little bit in one of the episodes they sent us, but I assume they get into it more. But like, it kind of felt like part of the way it was able to stay shrouded is because people didn't want to touch that. Like,
yeah,
the boys didn't want to get labeled as gay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And, whereas like Al Jones, it's like, oh yeah,
it was easier to understand, I guess, because it was like, because also people need to understand Mary Kay Letourneau is from Washington State, okay? and this was happening like, what, 2 years after that Letourneau stuff all came out?
Right.
And so everyone had a concept of like what it meant for an adult teacher to have a relationship with like an opposite sex person. I'm not saying that any of us were okay with that, but we at least like had a context, like that's the backdrop upon which this is all happening.
Yeah.
The Mr. Hudson thing, and you know, and neither Lindy or I are suggesting that he was gay per se. It was more that he was a predator. Okay. So it's not that. It's just that one of the reasons that sometimes these types of predatory relationships can stay hidden for longer is because there's an added piece of shame around the fact that it's happening between us, like same sex.
Yeah.
Like two people of the same sex. Right. And so I think that was a big part of it too, where maybe a lot of our classmates didn't want to come forward because they were like, oh, I don't want the rumor mill to be that I'm gay, even though that's not what was happening. People were being preyed upon by like this charismatic older man. So.
Right. Yeah, there was this I'm not smart enough to unpack it, but there was stigma going on for sure.
Yes.
That changed the way people talked about it.
Yes. For sure.
And processed it. And we're, you know,
It definitely felt more like scandalous than the Al Jones thing because of the same sex aspect of it, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rumor mill was, I think, a little bit more intense as a result. So I don't know. But
yeah.
Anyway, so I know this was like kind of a heavy episode, but we'll be back to jokes and farts and things next week. In the meantime, patreon.com/textmebackpod. That's where you can support the show financially. Texting your friend about our show is free, so you should do that. Newsletter Me Back. You should subscribe, although it's going on a little bit of a hiatus because Lindy is going on book tour. Adult Braces, get your copy now. Preferably hard copy, physical, from any book website other than Amazon.com, if you please.
Yeah, please.
And check our social media and Newsletter Me Back. You can see all the dates of all the places she's going, and you can get your tickets, and you can be like, oh, I love you. You're my best friend. I want to smooch you on your little cheek.
Thank you, Megs. Hey, I'd like to address the elephant in the room.
Yes.
That I have no idea if this has crossed your consciousness at all. I just want you to know that Big Ron is moderating my DC event.
Yes, I'm excited.
But he reached out to me and said, who's moderating your DC event? It better be me. And that's the only reason, like, because I could have asked you, and I just realized I don't want you to feel like, oh, why did she pick Big Ron? I don't know. He wanted to do it.
I didn't think about that at all.
Okay, because I just wanted to check. Because also I know that you're not looking for extra work after hours, you know?
This has not crossed my, I'm not feeling any type of way about it.
Good.
I'm looking forward to seeing you chat with Big Ron. I talk to you all the time.
I know. Okay, good.
So
and maybe we can all go out to dinner.
I'd love that.
Yeah, perfect. I love
okay,
it.
so go see Lindy on book tour soon. Goodbye. We're leaving. It's been a long afternoon of chit-chatting about sad stuff, and I think Kevin's mad at me. By the way, today's Kevin's birthday.
Oh, that's right. Happy birthday to Kevin.
Happy birthday to Kevin, my little demon son. I'm going to go take him out for a walk unless he's peed somewhere, which is highly likely. He was he was sitting by me this whole time staring at me, which he never does. And then he tried to cuddle with my feet, which he doesn't like me like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm going to go check on the damage.
I mean, I haven't heard a peep from Barry all day.
Not good.
And I also am nervous. Although he won't pee or poop in the house, but he does like to just sort of grab random items and throw them all around if he's mad at me.
And good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next week. We love you.